Today is Wednesday evening, and that means it's time for another live edition of E2C Network. It's Auburn Family Night. Let's get together. Let's talk about it. Anything and everything in the Auburn experience is fair game. Your calls, your questions, and your comments all coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family and a special War Eagle, and welcome to those of you that consider yourselves part of our E2C network family. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching live, on the replay, however you got here, whenever you got here. We appreciate you being here and hanging out with us to be part of our little family within the Auburn family. As is typically the case, most Wednesday nights we get together and we talk about the Auburn experience through the eyes of you, the Auburn family. This is why we call it Auburn Family Night. We're going to be taking plenty of comments, plenty of questions, and hopefully some of your calls this evening on Auburn Family Night, where we can talk about anything and everything. The best way to describe it is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So do not be shy. Jump into the chat. Let's get this thing going. I'm sure there's plenty on y'all's minds this evening, and I can guess pretty well where the majority of that is going to be lying this evening. So we'll jump into a bunch of different things tonight, start taking some calls, but you guys get this show started off right by making sure you smash that like button. It's a huge help to get the show started off on a good note. Lets people know that we're live, lets people know that this is a thing of value to take part in, and you can help us out by doing that. Each and every live stream, whether you were watching live or not. Also, if you'd like to take advantage of our call-in link that is now available at the top of the YouTube, well, I guess I should point this direction, the top of the YouTube chat right now for you all. For those of you that want to take advantage of that, you can click the link. It'll bring you into the room. You can choose to be on camera, off camera. Just make sure your audio is connected. It should walk you through all of that. And then we'll jump into you and what's on your mind if you choose to call in tonight. There's plenty to talk about, like I said. So come on in, share your thoughts and your opinions. Just be ready to have a conversation and not just share what you want to your narrative that you want to have put out there. I think some people are losing that art more and more every single year. Got lots of fine people checking in already from across the Auburn family landscape, Georgia and Alabama. Texas is even checking in with us here. So many good ways, so many good places and good ways that we are having a check in here on the stream. Devin's one of our long timers and part of our Conquer Club. Thank you so much for being here. She says, War Eagle, it's been a way too long since I caught a live show. Life with 3 has been kind of crazy. We know that you've had your hands full. So we understand that it's been a while, but it's good to see you here, Devin, as is everybody else. But I just want to give a special shout out to Devin because we don't get to see her as much as we used to. We miss seeing her a lot in the chat. Thankful that you can do it when you are able to tonight. So here's what me go ahead and set the table for a few things tonight as you start thinking about things that you want to talk about. Definitely topics in the Auburn experience space. And all those different things. And we do have a caller already in. We'll get in just a second. Let me just address this right off at the top. Look, folks, it's been a tough week. And if you are not able to share your opinions without degrading a fellow member of the Auburn family, we will not be addressing your comments. Moreover, you will not be displayed in the live chat. For those of you that get on your high horses about free speech and stuff like that, it's really not relevant or anything like that. But just think about it this way. If that was your kid, if that was your family member, would you want some of the things being said online about them? So you all know what I'm referring to, the treatment of Peyton Thorne and how that's gone down this week. We can all look at the game and say, hey, didn't play well. It's got to change. We can do that without degrading the kid and treating him like he's actually a member of the Auburn family. So I feel like that's something that has to be addressed this week, given how things have gone, the temperature in the room, all that kind of stuff. But let's get into it. Let's talk about a few things. We do have our first caller online. So let's go ahead and get him in. He is going to fill the room with optimism, and he's wearing a hat to boot. There he is. What's going on, Kevin?
War Eagle, how you doing?
I am doing so well, buddy. It's good to see your smiling face. We need more of Kevin's in the world.
I still think we could go 12-1.
We certainly can. There is a possibility. out there. Will it happen is the big question. Probably not, but there's always a chance.
Will you be at the Auburn and Arkansas game?
I plan to be at every single home game this year unless I have a schedule conflict, which may actually happen, every once in a while. It seems once a year I miss one game, but right now I'm planning to be at every single home game, including this weekend, the Arkansas game.
Guess who I playing on the 2025 college football on PlayStation?
Are you playing it right now?
0-0 against Georgia.
But you're like playing it right now while you're talking to us?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. You're about to. Okay. I was making sure. I was like, don't you need to be paying attention to the game?
I got this on for Jaquez Hunter.
Now, listen, I'm going to tell you this. Yes, that is for Jarquez. There's a lot of other guys that are starting to wear cowboy hats. We put out our, I didn't get their names, unfortunately. I could go back and look at their faces and get their names. But I just noticed today because we put out the better version of Tiger Walk. We live stream it, but I put out the better video today so you can actually see a little bit everybody clearer. And I saw more hats.
Do you live stream when Tiger Walk?
I've been doing it for several years now. That's why I always say meet me at Tiger Walk, because I'll always be there right in front of the banner, doing my best to capture that.
They still got that guy who does those tricks.
You talking about on the unicycle?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you asked that. He, at least I haven't seen him yet. Until I hadn't seen him until last game. Excuse me. But they're not letting him go down the path near where the construction is and doing his tricks. So there was a bit of a discussion happening with him and law enforcement and everything else trying to allow him to do that. And I don't think he was very successful, but he can do it further down the way, just not where the construction is. So he was there.
Where will the Tiger Walk be at?
Tiger Walk's in the same place. The construction just kind of limits certain spots where people can be. Still in the same place, though. Don't worry.
I got a question with the quarterback.
Let's hit it. I'm sure you do, and everybody else does tonight. So let's do it.
If I was Coach Hughes Freeze, I will start Hank Brown this week.
Yeah. That's the prevailing narrative out there. But the great thing is that the coach has all the information. We have some of it. So if he puts Peyton out there, Peyton deserves our full support. If he puts Hank out there, Hank deserves our full support.
Because Peyton is the older.
Well, yeah, he is the older of the two, which is why so many people are frustrated with him, because they feel like his performance should be a lot better given his experience and age, but experience as well. So that's an understandable thing.
Did we get another wide receiver named Sam Turner?
Unless it happened while I had been checked out for the last couple of days, I don't know.
It said it happened 2 days ago.
I don't know where you're seeing that. I can certainly look that up throughout the stream, and maybe someone else can confirm that for us or not confirm that for us in the chat. But I am not aware of that. I will be honest with you, Kevin. It has been a very busy 2 days after the weekend for me because of some family stuff. But so I may have missed it. But I usually hear about these things, so I don't think so.
It was on Facebook. It said, breaking news.
My guess with that is you found one of these sites that likes to get clicks and clickbait and is just saying things. I could be wrong. I'm looking up very quickly. It's the latest news I see on social media is that wide receiver Sam Turner is returning to Auburn for another visit, but has not made any decisions.
And I think Deuce Knight will return to the Oklahoma game.
I think that's confirmed that he will do that today. So obviously exciting to have these guys in here. We'll be a lot more excited when they make their decisions, and we can certainly talk about that a little bit more.
And we need to run the ball more.
It's always funny that I know when one of the other sites, the bigger sites, are starting to push a certain talking point. And I'm not saying, like, when I say that, it's not meaning it's not true. It's not something that doesn't need to happen. I'm just saying that's what starts filtering over into the conversations here at our other live streams we do on TikTok and stuff. And I always know, it's like, okay, that's the talking point today. So
Hey,
that's definitely one of those things.
What's the status on our main wide receiver for this game?
What do you mean?
Cam Coleman.
Last I heard from Coach is that he's still working through that injury and may not play in this game. I think it's best to keep him as healthy as possible and not start a process of creating nagging injuries for the rest of his career.
Yeah, but somebody said he might try to suit up and go.
I hope he does if he's ready to go. If the doctors clear him, if the coaches clear him, I want him out there, but not before he's ready to go, because that's how you create problems for these guys.
What's the status on KJ Lacey?
You mean the recruit?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no clue. Kevin, you've been here long enough to know I do not focus on people who aren't committed yet. So I do not care. not to be very direct. I do not care what's up with Deuce Knight, KJ Lacey, anybody, because they're not committed to Auburn yet. When they do, I certainly will be very excited about that.
When we get Auburn Henderson.
We've already got him committed, and he had a great night. What was it? 10 touchdowns or something like that? Something ridiculous. 400 something yards. Ridiculous. Certainly, I'd love to talk about some guys that are already committed, but
is Malik Autry committed still?
He has been committed for a long time. Time.
Blockton's good.
What's that?
Malik Blockton.
Yeah, the brother of Marcus Harris. Yeah, he's turned out to be a nice little addition to be utilized very early. So I'm very pleased with that one.
Who's number 25?
25. Is that Champ Bailey? Not Champ Bailey.
No,
Champ
Anthony.
Thank you. I had it partly right. Champ Bailey is a former safety, I believe, is what he was in the NFL, mainly for the Broncos. But anyway.
I think this game we will see Jaquez Hunter score a couple touchdowns.
I sure hope so. I want them to get him going a little bit quicker and a little bit better as the season continues, and it needs to probably start this week to quell some of the Auburn fervor for other things out there.
I bet Perry Thompson might have some.
He might. He certainly might. So let me get a score prediction from you real quick to end out our time together for New Mexico.
Auburn 45, New Mexico 7.
Love it. We're going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
And we'll see if you're right come Saturday night.
We might see you next Saturday.
Well, let's make it a date and let's see if we can finally meet each other. We've been saying it for a while.
I might wear this.
All right, I'll be looking for you and Jarquez. I'll be looking for you two. Okay.
Talk to you later, War Eagle.
War Eagle, Kevin. Good to see you, buddy. Bye. All right, that was Kevin, one of our regulars. Good to hear from him as always, and a fresh breath of air amongst all of the naysaying and the negativity that has pervaded the Auburn family over the last couple of days. Should be more like Kevin. We all should, and I say that for myself first and foremost. All right, let's see here. I want to bring up what Devin wrote earlier about what Damari Alston said about Peyton. The team has his back. Yeah, and I think a lot of the times, first of all, you want to see the teams having, obviously we're talking about Peyton Thorne here. That's your first sign that things are a lot healthier than the fan base may be. And great show of support by Damari, stepping up as a leader of this team, as he has been here for quite some time, for one of the leaders of this team, and showing him the support that he deserves, whether you like it or not. So love that from Damari. Good look on his part. Let's see here. Brian is listening from school. Well, there you go. I guess. I hope you're paying attention. Dalton asks, how in the world does a running back have 400 yards, 10 touchdowns, and still lose the game? Is that what happened? Did they still lose the game? That's not possible, is it? I know I say that I'm okay with talking about people that are committed to us, but I really just don't pay attention that much to their high school performances. I hear and see the headlines just like you guys, which is why I was aware of that ridiculous stat line for him. Um, my understanding is he plays in a little bit like of at least the classes of high school, a little bit lower of a league. Not to say that doesn't mean there's not tough, there's not talent there, there's not tough competition, but it is high school, and there sometimes is a disparaging gap between certain schools and certain teams and things like that. Unbeaten Lake says wouldn't sleep on New Mexico. The offense could hang with us, their offense, for a while. I don't want to see us play Tom Brady again, and hopefully we don't make the same mistakes offensively. I don't want to see the same Tom Brady again. Okay. Is that a veiled shot at Peyton, or is that like I don't get the Tom Brady reference? Are you saying we don't want us to make their quarterback look like Tom Brady? Not getting the reference there. It's like going whoosh, right over my head, right over the head. You should not take anybody lightly. If you haven't learned that now, as an Auburn fan, I can't help you. We've seen way too many, especially in the last 3 or 4, where we're just not, making it easy on ourselves. So definitely shouldn't take anybody. They say no. Cal's quarterback played like Tom Brady in the first half. Okay, gotcha. So essentially, don't let their star player, whoever it is, quarterback or whatever, have an amazing start and sneak up on us and cause some problems. I know the Alabama fan base out there is just salivating, like just clutching their pearls about if they can have New Mexico beat us this week. It will probably be better for them than the day that Nick Saban won their first national title under him, if that happens. And I kind of understand it, because they will have the not trifecta, but they'll have the duo there of the New Mexico and the New Mexico State. So they are going to be tuning in heavily to that game. I don't know what time they're playing. They're playing Wisconsin, so I would imagine they're playing more in the either the noon or it might be the big noon kickoff. I haven't looked at it. I don't really care. See, that's the difference between me and most Alabama fans. I could give a flying rip what happens with them, really. I mean, do I love it when they lose? Sure, but I'm not like making an appointment television tonight, so I have something to gloat about or anything like that. I am worried about one thing and one thing alone: the Auburn Tigers. Stan says it was 80 something to 70 something. Is this the game for Alvin Henderson? Yeah, that's is woo. I mean, goodness. Not good. Not good at all. I've been a part of a few of those type of high school games, not to that extent, but it's pretty bad. I wouldn't want to be a part of that game. WT says we are in year 2 of a 3 to 4 year rebuild. I don't know why so many Auburn fans thought we would be world beaters. Look how long it took Pearl to right the ship. Well, and Coach Pearl had very little to work with coming in, which makes his feet even more strong of a thing. The fact that he was able to make Auburn to not only make them relevant to college basketball, but to have the success that he and Auburn had affects so much change for the rest of the conference. Hires are being made that maybe don't get made if the game isn't stepped up because of people like Auburn. It's one thing if you come into a league in the SEC where you got your Kentucky power and then maybe another one who's always there, whether it was a Florida, maybe an Arkansas from time to time. Then you have someone random pop up there. But when you raise the level of the game up to now, you've got Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, who are all already there, maintaining there, or rising up there. That raises the level of requirements to be competitive in this league, and thus change the landscape of it all. Let's see here. Corey, good to see you. Thanks for being here, buddy. One of our regulars as well. Good to see you. The reason we lost to Cal, the reason we lost is Cal played better than we did. Remember, we barely beat them last year. Well, and the other thing with that too is that was a much different. I don't think it's really a fair comparison to compare last year's with this game. We completely gutted again our scheme on offensively and defensively. And it's kind of ironic in hindsight, there was much lamenting about that offensive scheme, and it got the job done at Cal. The new offensive scheme couldn't get it done at here at home with Cal, but it is what it is, I guess. David, good to see you. Thanks for being here and hanging out with us. I know the point that you're trying to make is that I think there is some respect that is due to Cal that isn't being given. I do think they obviously did a lot better job than we did to get the win. And we all need to be able to admit that, or else you're a Bama fan who just makes excuses. Their wall, they say no excuses, but quite often their behavior means it's that no part is slashed out there. What else? What else is on y'all's mind? I got some conversations going on about the Alabama game. What else do you want to talk about? I'll give a quick shout out to Auburn softball. Not only had they had their fall schedule released last week, they just released their SEC matchups for this year. No Alabama, if I remember correctly on that, which is just a shame. We love matchups with Alabama in all sports. And the fact that it is not a required staple of the SEC softball schedule for Auburn, I think is a travesty. If you want to get mad about that, join me in that. So that's out there as well. Homecoming week. We can definitely talk about that. Dalton's got a question about soccer. Soccer team still in a row. As last I checked, still undefeated and still unscathed, meaning not a single goal scored on them yet. Knock on wood. Wrapping up non-conference this Friday, weather permitting. They're supposed to be doing the fireworks. I plan to be there. It's going to be a great time. So I'm really excited for that, and excited for how the fall has gotten started in general for fall sports. I know this last game for Auburn football ruined that a little bit. That sucks, but some great things elsewhere. Who do you think will be our point guard at the beginning of the season? WT, I think it's really simple. It's JJ Pegues until JP, I should say. JP Pegues until we hear something different. You don't bring a guy with that level of talent and skill with it's very similar to the Keandre Lambert-Smith somewhat transfer. Now you got a guy transferring up as opposed to a lateral move like Keandre Lambert-Smith was in football. But I do think that he will start. There's been some conversation as of late that I've seen somewhat recently about, is Tahad Pettiford going to go up and take over, or somebody else going to take over that role? I don't necessarily think so yet, but we'll see where it goes, where all that things go. I'm excited for Auburn basketball to play in Maui this year. You should be. Basketball if you're excited about Maui. Folks, this schedule is brutal. Folks, this schedule is going to be fun. I am pumped for basketball season. You might see, y'all know how excited I get on like post-game streams and stuff like that for basketball. Take that to a new level this year. That's going to be me. When we're talking about Duke, we're talking about Houston, we're talking about Ohio State, we're talking about Purdue, we're talking about Iowa State, maybe North Carolina, the defending national champions, UConn, that Auburn gets to face off. Woo! Come on. Somebody get excited about that. That's great. Dalton asks, what was the website code to use for buying tickets that benefits E2C? Quick plug, great plug. always check the links on YouTube. In fact, it should be on most, if not all, videos that we've recently put one link that takes you to what's called a link tree. And it's every link that you would probably need from us. It's to our content. There's sections. There's sections to our content, sections to ways to support the show, social media, and ways to get in touch with us as well. So if you go there, there is SeatGeek. You want to use that. It's not like you go to there. You use the code E2C Network. It's the easy way to do it. So if you ever want to get some tickets for yourself, I think it's $20 off your first time order. If you've ordered from SeatGeek before, technically it won't work from you. Think about what you should do differently to make yourself a first time customer so you can use that again. It's all connected with emails. So thank you for asking. And that does give us a kickback in some way. So that's very much appreciated for those of you that can certainly do that. And remember, guys, if you when you're watching the live stream, we put the ads on there, and I know some of you have lamented about that, but we do have to have some form of supporting what we do here. But you do get behind a little bit in chat when you do that. So some of your comments I know are the rate that they're coming in. I see that they're a little bit delayed. So you might want to refresh your stream. It'll catch you back up. The page will catch you back up to the chat. Best non-conference schedule ever, David says, in regards to basketball. Maybe so. Here's the thing. Under Bruce Pearl, Auburn has had some great scheduling, even of the minor opponents. A lot of the times, these lower mid-major conference opponents are either the defending champions expected to be the champions, or runners-up expected to be the runners-up this year, that year, or the year before. Bruce, his team are very good about who they schedule. One of the things that I said this very openly last year, when Auburn lost to, who was it on the road? App State, right. And people immediately panicked about that, kind of like they're doing this week. That just showed me who doesn't know basketball. That was a very good team for Auburn to have to, and they went to their place. You don't see that often. So all that to say, Bruce Pearl schedules and his staff schedule challenging, testing, demanding, but fun and engaging schedules for us to watch and for the guys to play. Is it the hardest one? Is that what you're asking? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at some of those. But right now, I can't really think of anything more difficult than what we just listed a second ago. So it's certainly possible that it is the best, the hardest non-conference schedule under the Bruce Pearl era. But even that may be up in the air. I need my guy Thomas from Leeds to call in to express his thoughts on the line play. I would imagine he has quite a few thoughts. I don't know. I haven't seen Thomas in the chat yet. He's pretty faithful in being here on Wednesday night. So if he's not here, he's obviously got a good reason. Certainly would love to hear his perspectives. On that note, which is a great thing to say, this is one of those times where I'm really, or I try to encourage you all to be better informed commenters about these type of topics. Recognize that sometimes our emotions get the best of us and we're not seeing the full picture, or we're not seeing everything. And I think the offensive line, for example, is one of those things. You guys know that have been for a while that I'm very, and I try to be constructive about it, but very critical of the offensive line play as a group, not as individuals. And was the same case for this past week. Coach Freeze said today that after reviewing the tape a little bit more, that it wasn't as bad, which is his phrasing. Doesn't mean it wasn't bad, but as bad as he first perceived it was. I think some of that is in relation to that the running game got going. They started creating some opportunities there. But I think we can all look at the non-protection of Peyton Thorne and see that was pretty bad. So I think as a whole, it was definitely bad, but maybe in those moments, especially for someone like me personally, where my biases may be a little bit critical, a little bit more of a higher standard for the offensive line. Maybe I need to back off a little bit on that and look at some of those things. But yes, it was not good. It was not good. D-line, I thought, looked good for the most part. It's tough to tell because the first half was so bad defensively. Some would say, oh, that was on the defensive backs. But if you're getting the pressure that you need to get, like you were doing in the second half, then your defensive backs aren't in as much trouble. So, yeah, I'll just kind of say this as far as the defense this week. The night and day adjustments that were clearly made. I mean, if it wasn't adjustments, maybe it was luck, but whatever happened from the first half to the second half was absolutely incredible because they were just as bad. They were as bad as the offense was at the end of the game, at the beginning of the game. And then it's like they swapped places. So the defense put us in a position that maybe the offense didn't even deserve to be in. And the defensive line, the pressure, Keldrick Falk, Jalen McLeod, I think, got on somebody. Maybe Malik Blockton as well. I don't have anything pulled up right now, but yeah, it was good. Credit to the defense as a whole, but the defensive line at the end of the game really got some pressure on their quarterback. Unbeaten Lake asked the question that everybody is asking, at least to themselves privately. Are we cursed at offensive line forever? No, we're not. I think it's a good question, though. As I leave I wish I had where's my standby? This little thing, it's like a piece of cardboard I use as my coaster so that I can sip on things. So, I figured Stan was going to have something to say about this. He usually falls into this category. Not forever, the offensive lineman problem. It goes back to Gus. While this is true, it's not. This is kind of like I talk about. We need to be more well-rounded in our conversations about this. It's not as simple as it's Gus's fault. While some of it is, yes, and I've spoken very openly about that. What happened with the offensive line is you have Gus made a poor decision to hire Herb Hand. And he was a great recruiter, at least in getting stars and stuff here, but either the wrong stars and thus not able to coach them up. And it took a little bit of a dip there. So that kind of puts you a little bit behind. There's this statistic out there that Auburn wasn't able to recruit any offensive tackles from this point to this point. And that's just categorically false. Because what they're doing is they're looking at the one site that has those guys listed as an offensive guard, and the other site had them as an offensive tackle. The numbers did dip, but it's just a false narrative. What happened is you've got a program that made a decision to remove. This is a great point. Calvin Ashley. Calvin Ashley is a very good example of that. Thank you, Unbeaten Lake. A great example of what we're talking about here, of what started this. But then you when you're in the Gus Malzahn type of offensive line and recruiting, you're recruiting a certain type of player, a little bit more agile, a little bit quicker. They a lot of pulling guards, which I love. So maybe a little bit on the, I want to say undersized, just a different frame. Then you go to Harsin, who is having to work with what in a scheme, what was left over in a scheme that was much different. Maybe you need a few more hog mollies and good ones too. Well, we made a switch again back to something where you maybe need, I don't say it's exactly like Gus's, but a little bit more nimble, a little bit more fleet of foot. So what has happened here is a bad decision by Gus, lack of stability, and the rest of the program falling behind because of that. So it's really a more nuanced discussion and answer than it goes back to Gus, like Stan said. You're not wrong, but it's more thorough than just that. Let's see here. David says if we give up 5 turnovers and still only lose by 1 touchdown, we did something right. ... I'm glad you put the ... in there because I know what you're saying. I hear you, But that first part of that sentence, no, we didn't do anything right. No, we did. I think this is part of that conversation of, was Cal that good or we that bad? I think that is what you're saying here is part of that here. If they were a much better team, they would have been able just to pull away, pull away, pull away, pull away, pull away, but not able to do that. The first half defense scheme was bad, thus the adjustments. So credit to Coach Durkin, the rest of the staff there and the players for stepping up too and creating some opportunities. Let's see. What would be the best place to sit to be in the shade this weekend? Well, great question, Dalton. However, I don't know that you're going to have that problem. There's like I haven't been paying attention to the weather outside of my little pocket of world, but apparently there's a system rolling through that's going to be around all weekend, which is just the worst timing when you're trying to have a homecoming parade, homecoming floats displayed that are paper mache based. It'll keep the temperature great, but the best place to sit in the shade this weekend, if you're talking about at the game, if you are on the east end zone upper deck, on the east side, you're going to get the sun the longest. West side upper deck, where I sit, if you're looking at the upper deck from the field, the left side is good. So the southwest portion of it is going to be where you get the shade first in that part, but in the lower bowl we'll get some shade as well. If that's what you were asking, I'm not sure. Let's see. The biggest trash talker in the league needs to be humbled already, and it's only the beginning of the season. Oh, Lane. Oh, I can't be bothered by Lane. Auburn was gifted by getting that interception taken away in the end zone. That may have been a makeup call for some other stuff that may have been ignored. Let's see here. Neil says, I sold all my tickets for the season. Well, I hope you made some money. I would have waited a little bit to sell some of those, because even if some more games were lost, you would have made a lot more money, especially leading up to the game. It's always the best way to do that. What else haven't we talked about here? What else is on your mind? What else haven't we discussed? We're actually, is that already almost 40 minutes into the show? I had some people on TikTok today and they were Auburn fans, get very forward with me and say that they were going to call in. And as I told them, well, not to their faces, but lie to them, no, you won't. They never do. They just never do. Just never do. So maybe they will by the end of this thing. I don't know. But time and time again, that is the case. So you guys, please do call in if you'd like to. Do you know if Austin will be at the game? As far as I know, Austin is going to be at the rest of the games. As a little side piece here, we were in discussions about potentially doing a together show from his house this weekend, but it's going to be dependent upon. I haven't decided. Here's the issue. I had planned to stay till Sunday, but there's no other events. And also, that would be the day that I would go get extra footage of the floats and stuff that have been sitting out there, but they're going to be ruined by that time because of the rain. So there's a chance that I may take a very tired late night drive back home after the game if I don't feel it's necessary for me to stay around. So we're not sold on that yet, but we're wanting to get one in-person together show done. And that will be, we'd have to reschedule it for much earlier in the day. But yeah, he'll be there. We're going to let anytime you see these guys come into the chat right here, you just know how sad and pathetic their lives are. And they get themselves banned for life. Just sad and pathetic. I got him before he got that one out. So don't worry. Anytime you see those guys come into the chat, you just let me take care of them. Don't even give them the time of day. Let's see here. HYTYD fishing. You got to give me a better name to say than that, but I know you probably have it on there it looks like you're a fisherman. I hope for Freeze's sake, HP starts or at least plays quarters 2 through 4. Let me encourage you, I'm going to call you Mr. Fishing, and you've been around for a while, to change your mentality in the way that you're speaking about this. You don't need, and I know you don't mean it necessarily as aggressive as it sounds, or I hope you don't, but whoever the coach puts out there is who you need to support. And it's not about for a sake or anything like that. If we are dumb enough to make a change again, after what we've already put ourselves through, we deserve everything that we get from this point forward. And that would be becoming Vanderbilt. Hank Brown will get the start if he has earned it and if he is the best option based on what the coaches have in front of them. I fully believe that. And some of you need to reconcile with the fact that you may not have it pinned correctly. And just because you want to see a change doesn't mean that's the correct thing. And I'm not necessarily talking about Mr. Fishing here. I'm just saying in general. Let's see. CJ, good to see you, man. I know. Isn't it funny this is the thing. There's no in between with Alabama fans that come to, first of all, this is what I just do now. Normally, if they're annoying, I get rid of them. But like if they leave a comment on social media where it's just RT, like, okay, whatever. Everybody can do what they want. I mean, first of all, just proves how in your head we are. Living rent-free. So I just give them the little rent-free gift right there. But it really is sad that they feel like their lives are just so empty that they've got to come and troll anonymously on their rival fans' account. It's just so sad. So please, guys, don't do it. Don't do it to them. Be better than them. Kyle, where do you see the program going? To the moon. I see the program heading still in the right direction from a very, 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 very bad pit that didn't have to be that way. You set me up for it. Honestly, I do think if we're I don't know if you're being serious, Neil, but if you're asking this question just based off of this one game, that's a bit on the emotional side, and I can't go with you there on that. We got to see a full season to know where we're heading and assess things from there. Christopher says support whoever is playing. That doesn't mean that they're above criticism. No, and that's if you've been here long enough, you'll have heard me say that as long as it's constructive criticism, and not many people are very aware of what that is. Basically what you've seen online isn't it for the 99% of it. I will say that just because you can critique someone doesn't mean you should. What does it do? Except, cause unrest and stuff like that. So it's just something to think of. And I get it that, you got free speech, yada, 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 yada. Like I'm a big free speech guy too, but that's the most overused and non-intelligent justification. Just because you can, just because you have the freedom to do so, doesn't mean that you should. I better do a post. Oh, Stan, you don't have to worry, man. I will do a post-game show. I would never leave Auburn outside of extenuating circumstances without doing the things that I've always promised you guys that we'll do. But he's talking about I was potentially going to leave before Sunday. I haven't made my mind yet, but don't you worry. Don't you worry. Half my family graduated from Alabama. Their IQs are low, but they mean well. Oh man. What a world we live in, y'all. Let's see here. Further proves how bad Harsin was as the CEO. I have faith Freeze can turn this around. I guess I agree. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the context of let me support whoever is playing. It doesn't mean okay above criticism. I'm not getting the context there. How Harsin was being brought around into that, but there you go. I just don't understand why you would even take the time to watch another team's content just to troll. And when I say this, I'm going to say this statement that their lives are just that empty. It is. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude because I don't want anybody's life to be that empty. I really don't. But that to just come to spread. It's an overused term, but it's the best term to use. Hate just shows, and this is I'll apply this to people who've behaved the way they behaved about Peyton Thorne. It's just sad. It shows how empty your life is that you want to bring others down in whatever way that is, just because you're a rival to them, because you don't like them or whatever. It's just so sad. There's truly like pity that I see when I see that, but you have to get rid of them and deal with them. My personal thoughts are that the O-line did not protect JT, PT, I guess, Peyton Thorne, and he reverted back to his old habits. We talked about this last on the post-game stream, and I agree 100% with you on this. We have reached the point where, like with Bo Nix, where you got to be aware of what you're working with and find a way to make it work at this point. So the responsibility falls on Peyton, but you must also be willing to grant where he is not getting help. It's important why it's not why you should never look ahead. One game at a time. The one thing that I will take away from two things that I always take away of value from the Harsin era is I loved his mantra of the 1-0 mentality. Didn't really work out that well by the end of it, but I did like that mantra, and that's something that you need to adapt. And the fact that he was always early to Tiger Walk. Not that was great because it kind of made me panic how early is going to be today, but they were always early to Tiger Walk. It started at like this week. It starts at 4:30. Harsin would be under that banner, which means they started Tiger Walk at 4:30, which means they started a little bit early. Calling someone little brother while acting like an annoying little brother is classic. Oh, it's my most favorite thing in the morning. The instant that someone comes in here to anything that we do and says little brother, y'all have heard me say this phrase. If you are truly the big brother, which I am in my family, it doesn't need to be said. It just is. You walk in the room and you're the big brother. It is what it is. So it's just funny. Apparently this is how we're coping this week. We're just making fun of Bama fans. If two Bama fans get divorced, are they still cousins? Oh man, that's tough. That's tough right there. That is real tough. Offensive line was so bad, Freeze had to rebuild it first before pursuing a top quarterback. Yeah, I mean, to some degree, yes, but has nothing to do with pursuing. You're always pursuing the best that you can get, but certainly if you can show people that you can protect them, A, they'll stay. Bo Nix. B, you'll bring in the best of the best. Let's see here. I need to not that I'm not having a good time digging on the Alabama fans. I need to kind of, we need to focus more on the orange and blue a little bit. But I do love that with you guys. Don't say anything good about Harsin. I'll get blasted. I think it's and this is kind of like I talked about with you, and this is why I like Auburn Family Night, because the majority of you that come here, at least try to be more well-rounded in your conversations. At least the people that come regularly and know this is how we operate here, not just the people that want to yell and scream and stuff like this. I think it's a fair statement to say that Harsin was not given every tool that he needed to be as successful as others. How do I know that? Certain things opening were delayed because they didn't like this coach, and probably didn't expect him to last out the season. To me, that's wrong. And that's wrong. It's also wrong to not wrong. There has to be a product to show off that is heading in the right direction. I didn't even this whole Harsin thing this week. Again, I hope you guys understand. I had some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I'll just tell you some of it. My wife and my wife's birthday is September 10th, Jessica, and she also chose to have our wedding day on her birthday. So my anniversary, her birthday. On top of that, it's my late father's birthday as well. So September 10th is a very huge day for me. So I was checked out yesterday, and I forget when this thing posted. And then I was also checked out on the 9th because of things I probably can't really go into a lot of great detail here. Some of y'all know what that is. But that day is a very mixed emotion day of joy and grief for Jessica and myself. And we certainly are talking about that more, but not the time or place to talk about that here. So all that to say, I have been checked out from that. And it's, anyway. Your daughter's birthday is September 10th. Well, late happy birthday to her. It's a good birthday. And, apparently September 10th is just the day. Let's see here. I will admit to being the cause of the Auburn loss. I wore the Dustbuster shirt game 1. I did not wear it game 2. I will try not to fail the Auburn family again. So you are the problem. That is what happened. Not Austin. It's all WT. It's all your fault. It's like the basketball chant. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Devin says about the Harsin situation, it's absolutely annoying that Auburn fans are still commenting on this stuff. Grow up and move on. They're acting like a spurned ex who isn't over the relationship. Yeah, that's the funniest thing is the hypocrisy of, I wish he'd just move on, but every chance I get, I'm going to post about him and give him the time. If you want him to disappear, let him disappear. If you give him what he wants. I don't even know if that thing was directed at us. I'm so tired of people acting like children, whether it's Harsin, if he was, or anybody else. Just, if you ain't got nothing, it's the old, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say it. I'm doing my best to try to live that out. I don't do a good job of it, but I'm trying my best. Kyle, women are smart. They know us men forget, so they stick everything on the same day. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Remember the 10th of September. Yeah, hey, I like that. I like that a lot. Neil, did I not answer it the first time? What are your expectations for Auburn football going forward? Like, what do I expect as in, what do I predict is going to happen? Or what do I think we should I guess I'll try to answer it because I thought I answered it earlier. I expect us to win more games than we lose, improve upon last season, make a bowl game, look more competent as a team all the way around. I think it's a fair thing to do. Expect going forward. I think I answered it then. There you go. With the all caps. He's not a fan of Harsin, but he's living the life we all want, getting paid millions not to work. Yeah. So he is. Let me just put this to all of you out there. If you are part of the camp that loves to just hate on him and do that and be part of that crowd, he don't give a flying flip. And he shouldn't. I did not favor the hire. I don't think that it was a relationship that was going to last, given what we saw. I was not necessarily 100% in favor of making a change, but I also couldn't support the change. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it be Elsa. Let it go. Let it go. That does need to stop. I agree. I do. We're still paying Harson. We're still paying, I guess we're not paying Malzahn anymore that he got a job. I think that was something written that was in his clause. Yeah. But it's hard to have Pat Dyes when you get rid of them. Here, something I have discovered since I started doing this podcast 12, and we've been doing this much longer as a hobby than a business. But something that I have discovered is that Shug Jordan would never have lasted as long as he did here at Auburn in this era. And that's something that's saying a lot for the mentality of our society, of the way things run here, and how impatient we are. And also valuing greater things than just wins and losses. How you win is still important, or at least it should be. Shug Jordan, if you look at some of his stretches, by today's standards, they're terrible. And he would not have lasted. But we look at him in such reverence and high regard because of what we allowed to happen, what we allowed to be, what we allowed it to become. And you can't get that anymore because of who we are as a people now. You saying Chiswick could have been a Pat Dye? Maybe. I loved Chiswick. I love what he stood for as far as what I know about him. But what I will say is that it's hard to argue against the way things dropped off from that and how quickly it did. It's tough. It's tough. All right. So we are at 56 minutes. We typically get out of here at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Having some good conversation. We'll see. What other topics, questions, comments have we not addressed, especially that you'd like me to talk about in the chat? Drop them now. Of course, smash the like button if you haven't, so we can start heading towards rounding out our show a little bit more. But let me give you the information about what you need to know to expect from us over the rest of your time this week and homecoming weekend. These are some things that we are planning. Time, conditions, things may change them, but this is the plan for the rest of the week. Auburn versus New Mexico, the Lobos, our preview and prediction show. I am really starting. I've always enjoyed doing the show, but you guys are making a lot more fun these days for me because you're learning how to interact with it and you know how the show flows, especially those of you that come around a lot. So join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, just like tonight. And we'll have a roughly an hour stream and some Q&A at the end of it as well. Auburn versus New Mexico State preview and predictions live stream, where I will give you my final score prediction for Auburn, New Mexico. And I'll probably be wrong. We do plan to live stream the Homecoming 2024 Downtown Parade, provided the weather and they continue to do it and the connection works. Think I've got it figured out these days where I can do it from, because if you've been to Auburn, the connection downtown is horrendous, especially when there's a bunch of other people trying to access it. But I will do my best to live stream it. We will film it via GoPro as well to make sure we can post it later if it does not connect or if the quality is just that horrible because of the connection. But that is a planned live stream for now. I believe that's like 4 or 5 Central Time. So be looking for that on Friday. Saturday, Tiger Walk live. Obviously, again, provided anything connection-wise that doesn't happen. But for the New Mexico game, we're going to do that one as well. Post-game show, I will do it just like you said, Stan. I will do it without leaving there. And then we will have the Auburn Experience episode 93 with Austin and myself. And we'll certainly talk about New Mexico State homecoming weekend. There will probably be Kyle admitting that he cried at the homecoming video. If you enjoy making fun of me, this is a good time to do that because, you know what I should do? Oh, I may do something for a special here in a second. Let's see if we can pull it off. I don't know that we can. Oh, I just saw something. Anyway, episode 93 for that live stream is scheduled for 9 Eastern time on Sunday. But if I stay in town, we may do it earlier in the day. It just depends. All right. I'll take some more comments and questions. But before we go, I there was this homecoming video made during the Harsin time, so it just hits even harder because we needed some feel good stuff. It took me forever to find this in the Twitter. They like removed it from everything except for Twitter, and I don't know why. It's such a good video. Let me see if I can find it in my files real quick. I may see if I can pull it up here and play it for us on the screen. Let me see. I hope I didn't delete it because it's so dang good. Stand by for 1 second. Kyle, if you deleted this thing, you are an absolute idiot. Nope. Is this it? Hang on 1 second. I think it's it. No, that's Tumor's Corner, and that's not it. Oh, I hope I didn't get rid of this thing because it's amazing. How long is that one? I'm going to download it again and see if that's the one that I'm thinking of. I hope it is. Oh, it is. It is. Okay. All right. So we found it. But I got to figure out how I'm going to play it for you now. Maybe if I do this. And I can share my screen here in a minute. Okay, so stand by. We'll do that in just a little bit. Let's take some more questions, and I'm going to give you the best homecoming video of all time for Auburn. All right, Dalton says, just ordered the tickets. See you Saturday. Tiger Walk, banner. Come say hello. I'll be there. Unless something happens to me. Lord willing. Unbeaten Lake is a good perspective on Gus. He's a good example of money isn't everything. He just wants to do what he loves, which is coaching. I think that's a very similar story for Hugh Freeze. I think he falls out of the same cut as Gus, and I hope that we at least give him equal time to put a product out there on the field. Neil says, Chiswick, Gus, Cam, Fairley, AU Mount Rushmore. Done. Well, maybe Auburn football or Auburn football of the 2010s. But that's a much more complicated than that. Win for me if we play a top 25 team in a bowl game. There you go. If you have kids, what is this? If you have kids, bring them to the ACLC building from 3 to 5 for science demonstrations Saturday before the game. Liquid nitrogen ice cream. Oh, cool. No shame and tears, Kyle, huh? Well, you say that until you see me ugly cry. Does Chiswick deserve a statue for winning a championship? That's a good question. If that's what we're going to do, the problem is that we already have a Shook Jordan statue in honor of the people that the stadium is named after. And we have a Heisman row. We don't really have room to do a coach's one. And it feels like a very Alabama thing. I think there's a better way we can do that, like banners or something like that, than just doing statues. I think we've covered the statue thing for now. It's not a bad thought, but it is. All right. I can take a few more questions, but we're going to watch this homecoming video. Hopefully it doesn't tag us on YouTube. It probably will. But I can't not try this one. So let me try to share my screen. Hopefully it doesn't share stuff that you don't need to see. StreamYard, Google Chrome, QuickTime. Allow. Oh, no. Try capturing it. Browser can't capture your screen. What the absolute heck? All right, let's try. We're going to make this happen. Like, I'm doggone determined to make this happen. Let's see if I can get to it this way. I know this makes for terrible TV show, so I'm sorry, y'all. If I hadn't just got this in my mind, we'd already had this prepared. Okay. I'm going to try a download of it onto StreamYard, and then we'll see if it'll play after that. It may be the easier option, actually, so stand by. All right, any other final questions, comments, thoughts, derogatory rebuttals? If not, we will probably end with this. Better go early, can't close to Kyle. He's a superstar. I don't know what that was about, but thank you. Okay. It's still processing. Give it a second. It is a very large video. It's a short video, but it's a large video, and it may not. Oh man, I just played it in my headphones. Oh, is this it? Okay. All right. With that in mind, folks, we're gonna end. Kevin called earlier. Neil, you just missed it. Or I think you were here, but anyway. With that in mind, we're gonna end the show with this homecoming video. As soon as it's done, I'll head on out. Thank you guys for being here. Smash the like button if you haven't. Enjoy the video. It's homecoming week, and that always brings the good feels every single year. War Eagle.